Today I'm going to be teaching you all about Fibonacci retracements. We're going to go over how to set up these tools to make them best work for you, some drawing examples of how to place them onto charts, what the levels of the retracements and extensions actually mean, and how to use these tools to trade and make a profit. So let's dive right into it. So I'm starting off here with just TradingView open. In order to get to this, you'll just go to tradingview.com. I'll put a link in the description below. Once you open a chart, you're going to see a screen like this. Now, if you don't know anything about opening a chart or TradingView, I highly recommend you check out my TradingView tutorial for beginners. There will be a link to it right at the top right corner right now. Go ahead and click that, watch it, and then come back to here for this tutorial, which is part 2 of the series. I'm going to move forward as if you have some basic knowledge of how to navigate TradingView. To start off here, let's click the Fibonacci Retracement Tool on the left-hand side. Now, where is this? Well, go over to the left here, and it's the third button down. Now, if you've never clicked on anything before, the third button down is going to look like this pitchfork to you. Go ahead and click the arrow right next to it, and then about halfway down there, you'll see Fib Retracement. It's got 4 horizontal bars. Click on that. And when we click on it for the first time, we can go ahead and place it onto our chart. I'll show you exactly how to place it onto a chart later on. For now, I just want to show you the tool and how it works and how to set it up to look better for you. So in order to place it on an empty chart here, just click once and drag up to the right. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill my screen with it so it's easier to see. And then just click again. And there we have it. We have our first Fibonacci retracement here, drawn onto the chart. Now I like to customize this look in a whole bunch of different ways to make it much easier to read. So I'll show you my preferences here. Feel free to customize this however you want to, change the colors, make things bolder, less bold, all sorts of different options depending on what your preferences are. But I'll go over how I like to look at this retracement tool and how I think it works best for trading. In order to change the settings to this, just go ahead and right click on one of the lines here. So I'll hover over the red line here, right click, and click on settings. Once you open it up, you can see all the settings that are applied by default. So here are all the levels that we see. Some of them are actually hidden below on my chart here. I'm just showing you the ones that are actually between 0 and 1 here. Those are the ones I find most useful. I'll show you exactly what these numbers mean in just a second, but for now let's get back to customizing. I'm going to go ahead and turn off all of them that are not between 0 and 1. So first you can see this 2.618. Just go ahead and click this check mark. And even though you can't see, that disappeared from out of sight on your chart. If you didn't draw this filling the whole screen, you actually might have seen that go away. Remove the 4236 here, the 1618, and the 3618. And you did see some color disappear on my screen. So just to show you again, you can see it, and once I turn this off, those are gone. Because they're not between 0 and 1, I just want to focus on these for now. The next thing I like to do is actually turn off the background color of this. I think the more important thing is when the price is exactly on these levels, and the background color kind of just gets in the way and distracts for me. So I'm going to go back into the settings here. And if you scroll all the way down, you'll see background here. Now you can change this if you want to. You can make it even dimmer so that it's just slightly there in case you do want to see it. I personally don't like it at all. I don't find it helpful, and I think it really gets in the way. So I'm going to turn this off. The next thing I like to do is actually put the values over here on the right hand side. The reason I like to do this is because the prices are already listed on the right hand side when you're looking at a chart, so why not have these prices just next to it on the right hand side also. In order to do that, I'm going to go to labels here, click the drop down next to left, and change it to right. Now if we go back to the chart and look at it, you can see that these numbers are slightly off from their lines. This bothers me just a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and center those. So back in the settings, scrolling back down to where we just were, we're going to click the drop down next to top here and switch it to middle. Now if we go back and look at it, you can see that the numbers line up now so that they're even with the lines here. The next small tweak I like to do to this is make these lines a bit bolder. I find that they kind of get lost a little bit when they're this skinny with all of the other drawings, so I'm going to go ahead and increase the line width here. Back into settings, this one's at the top, it's under levels line. You're just going to click the line that's selected here, and I'm just going to turn it 1 thicker. And you can see in the background there that the lines did get thicker. The last and final thing I'm going to do is adjust the colors here. Now, I don't think the specific colors that you choose are important, but I think having a distinct color for each level will allow you to draw this tool and kind of see where you are way quicker than having to actually read the numbers on the right hand side. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up with the colors that I like to use. If you want to use the same scheme as me, definitely feel free to. So just going in order here from lowest number to highest, the 236. Now I actually turn this off in a lot of my fib charts. I don't find this level to be that useful, but for the purposes of this, I'll show you what color I use. I set my 236 to a purple color, and this one right here. Next up, the 382. I set this to a light baby blue sort of color, and it's this blue right here. Next up is the 50, or the 0.5. I set this as red because I think it's one of the more important levels, and red really sticks out to my eyes. Next up is the 0.618. This is the golden level. This is a price level that I look for a lot when I'm trading, and so I set it to gold because I think of it as the golden level. One other fib that people like to set up is the 0.65, and I'll go ahead and do that as well. So I'll toggle this on right here. And I'm just going to type in 0.65, and I'm going to set this one to yellow. This is close to gold, and people mentioned this little zone right here between the 0.618 and the 0.65 as the golden pocket. So I think gold and yellow represent this area very well. Last up is the 0.786. I think of this one and the 382 as pretty similar in terms of the strength of this line. So I'm going to set this as a blue color as well. And it's actually very close in default to the one I go with, but I go with just one darker on that. And that's all here. If I go ahead and close this now, you can see that each line is very distinct in its color. If I were to completely remove these on the right hand side here, I know in my memory, just looking at the colors, this is the 236, this is the 382, etc., all the way down. Once your mind is conditioned to these colors, it'll really help you speed up things. Now once you have this, go back into the settings, go to templates, and click save as here. And you're going to want to save this as a temp so that you can default back to these settings at any point in time in case they get changed or you switch devices. Name this anything you might want to. I have a whole bunch of templates already set, as you can see, but this one for me is the MM, which stands for the measured move. Feel free to use that name if it makes sense to you, or go with anything you'd like. So imagine we have candlesticks that make a price history that looks something like this. This is the price over time. We're pulling the Fibonacci from the low here all the way up to the high point of here. What these levels are going to represent is the amount that the price retracts or comes backwards from that highest point relative to the lowest point. So this 50 or this 0.5 that we've drawn red, this is the exact middle between where you started and where you ended the retracement. This 236 will represent 23.6% retracement level. Similarly, one last example, this 618 to 65 zone is 61.8 to 65% retracement of this entire price level. You'll see how important these levels are shortly, but I just want you to understand exactly what these numbers even mean. In simple terms, they're percentage retracements from the bottom to the top of where you've drawn. So let's go ahead and dive into an actual chart and place this on it. So I've pulled up the 30-minute chart of Bitcoin to the US dollar on Coinbase here. I'm going to go ahead and grab my Fibonacci tool. For me, it's in this toolbar up here, my favorites bar. If you haven't favorited the icon, it's on the left-hand side here where it was before. Next, I'm going to look at the price history here, and I see this kind of wick standing out to me as the highest price I can see. I'm going to go ahead and click on that as my starting point, and I'm going to pull this down all the way to the lowest point here, the bottom of this wick. It's really important to include wicks and not just the bodies. These are still price levels that were hit, and they're going to be important. And next, I'm going to just go ahead and drag my mouse all the way to the right, keeping that bottom level even with the wick there. And once I have the whole price history captured, I'm going to go ahead and click. Now, because these colors are nice and stand out, you can see that you can see exactly where the price is reaching them and what happens when it gets to them. So we started all the way up here and we pulled downwards, the opposite of what we were doing before, but it works exactly the same. So this 0.5 line is still 50% between this top and this bottom here. The only difference is that the 61.8% level is actually closer to the top rather than the bottom, as we were just showing. So once you pull the fib, you want to see how it reacts to specific lines. These are going to act as support and resistance when you're trading. So look at this. Once we pulled it from the top to the bottom, coming off the bottom here, this purple line is the first important one. Now we did blow by it here, but you can see that this area acted as a support line on this purple line. This area acted as resistance, this was support, and this was support. If you don't know anything about support and resistance, I do have a tutorial on this. It'll put it in the top right corner right now. Go ahead and click that and watch it. It'll help you out a ton. Just glancing at these lines a little bit over the history, you can see how important this 0.382 or 38.2% retracement is. It comes up here from the bottom. This is exactly where it resists. Next time we try to pass it, resistance there again. Once we finally break through it, we come back and it uses as support over and over again, and even again here. The 50% does similarly. Though we break through it here, it acts as a support through this whole zone right here, and this resistance through this whole zone here. And finally, my favorite spot to buy or sell is this golden zone. And look at that. This wick right here is captured perfectly in this golden zone here. In this case, since we pulled from a top down, we're looking for a sell. Opening a sell in this golden zone would have been an absolutely ideal trade. If you were looking for a buy in Bitcoin, you'd want to pull a fib from the bottom to the top like we did when we were setting up the tool, and you'd be buying in the golden zone down closer to the bottom. So as a quick recap, I use these levels for trading. I would highly consider you look at all of the levels when considering support and resistance lines for taking profit or entering a trade. For example, if you bought down here, selling some just before the 382, just before the 50, and just before the golden zone here would have been ideal for profit-taking levels. But my favorite two spots to enter trades based on the Fibonacci levels are the 50 and the golden zone. If I was looking to short this based on my fib pull here, I would have shorted a little bit of my position at this 50 here, and then once it finally got into the golden zone, that's where I would have really extended my position. Now just to show you a quick example or two on the buy side, I'm going to go ahead and zoom into a portion of the chart. This one looks good. So let's just say we were looking at this chart in real time. This is where the price was right now. I go ahead and pull my Fibonacci from here up to the high point right here, the low and high of this kind of newest price action area, and I'd be looking for the 50 or this golden zone to enter a buy for this. So starting to scroll to the right here, the price does come down. You can see that the 382 is used as a resistance already a little bit as we get a small bounce off of it. And then look at that. I'm going to just extend this over just a bit. You can see this wick touches the 50 to the penny. This would have been an absolutely perfect time to buy as the price continued upwards and upwards and upwards right afterwards. So now continuing forward, let's say you missed that trade, or you've already taken profit from this excellent buy you had that went up almost $2,000 from when you bought it. We'll just pull another Fibonacci. Bottom to the top. And would you look at that? Enter a little bit of your position here, enter the rest in this golden zone right where we wicked into, and you would have had another excellent buy. Catching the absolute bottom down here at 5,650, maybe around this 5,700 range if you bought inside of this pocket, with the price going upwards almost $700 afterwards. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and I hope you start to use the Fibonacci tool to enter and exit trades. What tool would you like to see next? Let me know in the comments below. Once again, thank you guys so much. Please leave a like and a subscribe. It really does help me out a ton, and it allows me to continue to create great videos for you guys to learn. After all, these videos are really for you guys, so if I don't know that you like it or what you want to see next, it's hard to create content that you'd enjoy.